Welcome to the Channel for Grace. Gobind will be live shortly. Book a tarot or astrology reading on our website, channelforgrace.guru, and check out our latest programs and classes. Please give us a share and a like, and we hope you enjoy the broadcast. Welcome to the Channel for Grace. Gobind will be live shortly. Book a tarot or astrology reading on our website, channelforgrace.guru, and check out our latest programs and classes. Please give us a share and a like, and we hope you enjoy the broadcast. Welcome to the Channel for Grace. Gobind will be live shortly. Book a tarot or astrology reading on our website, channelforgrace.guru, and check out our latest programs and classes. Please give us a share and a like, and we hope you enjoy the broadcast. Hey guys, what is going on? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Gobind, and this is your Channel for Grace. Thank you guys so much for being here live. I see we got Shannon, Sparky, Veronica, how's it going? We got Lisa as well in here. Please say hi in the chat so we know you're in here. Give us a little wave. I am so excited to talk about this moon. This is a strong and powerful and intense, and all the words to describe something really intense is this moon, and we're going to talk about it on this video. I'm going to show you the charts, and I am also going to tell you some extra information, not just basically based on the chart, but also based off of the fixed stars, because we do have a fixed star alignment that just blew my mind when I was reading the information. And then I'm also going to show you and talk about the Chandra symbol for this full moon in Aries, as well as the Sabian symbol for the full moon in Aries. Hello, Melissa. Hello, Michelle. Hello, Jessica, Teresa, Tamika, Colette. Thank you guys so much for being here. So I got a lot of cool stuff to share with you guys too. October is so exciting. Did you guys know that in October there's a full moon on October 1st, which is tomorrow, and then another full moon on October 31st, which is Halloween and the last day of October? Mind blown. Mind blown. It's crazy. This is what's going on. Some gnarly. Did that make sense? Totally kidding. I'm feeling really playful, thank God. I was like getting ready for this broadcast, and I get, hey babe, and I get this like text from a friend a very dear friend, and it's like a gnarly information. Like, holy moly, I can't believe that's going on. Heavy stuff. And then I get, more messages. So all day has been like, things are like, they're either amazing or they're like just heavy and weird, and there's intense healing going on. Shannon says the moon is gorgeous and orange right now. Ooh, nice. But it's an Aries full moon, and we all know that Aries energy, and it's kind of crazy. But I am really excited about this month especially because I am offering some amazing things, and I am, hi Valerie, bringing some amazing things to the table in October that really are like the embodiment of me in like on my path as a light worker, and I'm just like stoked about it. So I'm going to tell you guys about it real quick before we get into the chart and before we get into the description of this moon and before we talk about where it's happening in your specific sign in your chart based off of your sun, moon, and rising. Don't let me forget to do that at the end because I didn't actually write it down, but I want to make sure that we go through that at the very end where I tell you where it's happening in your chart. So, first of all, if you have not downloaded my free moon astrology guide, you can do so. There's a link in the description. This guide tells you what your psychic powers are based off of your moon sign. And I did a whole module too, all about the moon. And it is an amazing way to learn about the emotional aspect of you and your psychic powers, because the moon is about psychic powers. Why do we pay attention so much to the moon? Well, it goes full and it goes new and it goes through these like amazing cycles and it flows a lot. And it's just like we're just always changing, always moving. So it's amazing to know more information about what your moon sign means. When you get that free guide, you get entered into my email list, and I send out a weekly moon magic report where I tell you the energy of the moon the whole week, what sign it's in, what phase it's in, basically an astrological forecast for the whole week. That's what comes with that free moon astrology guide. Now, also, we just got done this last weekend doing the 4th module for Aquarian Astrology. If you want to learn astrology, this is the way to do it. Little snippets. It's such a Gemini way to do it. Who told me the other day? K Moon. She told me the other day, God, that's such a Gemini way to teach, right? Like separate the whole thing into little pieces and like digest it little by little. That's what we're doing in Aquarian Astrology. And if you want to learn, there's 4 modules out. We got module 1, which is the fundamentals of astrology. We got module 2, which is the sun in astrology. And we get into the equinoxes and the solstices on that module. Then we talk about the moon in module 3, where we talk about emotions, psychic powers, and eclipses, because the sun and the moon make the eclipses. And then this last weekend, we talked all about Mercury and what it means for ourselves. Basically, it's our thoughts and the way we process thoughts and how we make decisions. And one of the most underrated planets in astrology. And we talk about what it means, and we also talk about what it means when Mercury goes retrograde in all of the signs, which is like important information to have. Like, how does it affect us collectively, but then how does it affect you? Because Mercury is going to be somewhere in your chart, transiting your chart. And when you find out all this information, when you learn all these things, it's like you have that awareness and you go through life with a little more ease. I got to tell you, ever since I started studying astrology, I feel like I can move through life with more ease because I know that the energy is either heavy or exciting or whatever, and I can allow myself to flow through it, and there's no judgment, there's no guilt, none of that. So that's really awesome, and one of the amazing things that I've been offering for the last few months. Now, I also have a podcast called Channel for Grace Uncut Podcast, and today, me and my friend recorded episode 6. And we are going to talk about, in that episode, you're going to hear it because it's already recorded, we talked about everything that has to do with the Uranus opposition. So if you are in your early 40s, 41, 2, 3, 4, like around that time, you're going to go through your Uranus opposition. Maybe you're about to go through it. Maybe you're going through it right now. Maybe you're going to go through it, in the future. Well, we're going to tell you what it's all about, what it means, and how to prepare for that, and how to process it if it's already happened. And that episode comes out tomorrow. So if you haven't yet subscribed to the Channel for Grace Uncut podcast, make sure that you do. It's on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, like all of the podcast streaming platforms. It is available. So the other really awesome thing, there's two more things I want to share with you guys. Thank you for being patient with me, and thank you everybody that's in the chat. I see Jill in the chat, Valerie as well, Amy is here as well, Tina is also here. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for that donation. I appreciate that so much, NZ. Thank you. Living Multiverse. Finally, I've caught you live. It's 3:40 p.m. here in New Zealand. Wow, very cool. Thank you for watching. And Teresa says, I turned 40 in August. Does that include me? Well, we'd have to look at your chart specifically because there's an exact placement for it. Basically, the Uranus opposition is the transiting Uranus exactly opposes your natal Uranus. So it depends on where your Uranus is, at what degrees, at what minutes, all that stuff. It gets really detailed. But early 40s, it's going to happen at some point or another. And so tomorrow that episode comes out and I'm really excited. So this month of October, I'm doing a sale. I'm doing a 50% off sale on my basic birth chart reading. So if you've never gotten your birth chart reading before, and this goes way deeper than the mini readings that I do on Friday nights, but if you want to dive deeper, this is your chance because the month of October, I'm doing a half off sale. It's already set up, so even though it's not October yet, you can still go and sign up for it. And what I would recommend signing up earlier rather than later because there's a limited amount of spots. And once they fill up for the whole month, then I'll turn off the 50% off. So I just wanted to tell you guys I'm really excited about that. And what I actually go over in this kind of reading, which I provide you a video of. So I'll record a video and explain your chart and show you the chart on the screen and everything. And I'm going to look at the basic stuff, Sun, Moon, Venus, rising. I will look at, how all those energies play together to make you. I also will look at your nodes, North Node, South Node, and life purpose, future, and then also karmic, past lives and things like that. And what you should be focusing on, what your comfort zone is in your life and what you need to move away from, which is really important to know. Also, we look at Chiron and your wounded healer journey and how you are healing in this lifetime and what your journey is in that sense. And so understanding that is really important too, because it helps you understand, like, once you heal this thing, you will step into more purpose because you will unleash, release, uncover, open the doors to infinite possibilities in your life. And yes, so that is all of the awesome stuff that I cover in that birth chart. I think there's one more thing, and I can't exactly remember what it was. But I look at the aspects. So right, I'm like, what else do I look like? We look at aspects. So if there's any kind of formation in your chart, so like if you have a grand trine or if you have a grand square or if you have a kite, those are words that kind of go around in the astrological community and they mean very specific things if they are in your chart. So I look at those and I look at specific aspects that are super important in your own chart. So that's awesome. This is happening for the month of October. So make sure you go to my website, channelforgrace.guru, to sign up for that. And remember, the spots will fill. So make sure that you do that sooner rather than later. And I'm so excited about at the end of this month, you guys, did you know that I'm going to be releasing a book? Like, what? Jai and Tara Wild have been creating an awesome book called A Circle of Stars. We are going to be releasing it at the end of the month. This is an astrological guide to the lunar and Celtic cycles and ceremonies and events of the entire year, starting on October 31st, which is Samhain, which is also the full moon, the second full moon in October in Taurus, and going forward from that point all the way through 2021, every single full moon, every single new moon, every single Celtic celebration. So equinoxes, solstices, including the special events that happen exactly in between the equinoxes and solstices. And that's a total of 8 Celtic holidays. I don't know if we'd call them holidays, but celebrations, rituals. These are ancient traditions, you guys. So for those of you that are wanting to dive a little deeper into how do I embody, like, it's nice to study astrology and it's nice to know the information, but sometimes it can get a little heady. And it is the heavens. It is the symbol of like as above, so below. And the book helps you to embody that so below. Embody heaven on earth. And there's rituals that will come with each of the special events, all of them. The astrology for the events, I did the astrology, and you'll get to understand where, what the collective energies are, as well as where it's happening in your chart based off your sun, moon, and rising. I mean, this is like comprehensive, like never before done. And so we're going to have a special 3-day event happening at the end of October where we guide you on this powerful journey to understand what it feels like to embody heaven on earth, to connect with the cycles of the stars, to align more deeply in your own life with Mother Earth, with Gaia, which is like, it was really what we need right now in the world. So I'm super excited about that. Please stay tuned for that. If you want to make sure you're up to date on all this information, make sure you get on my email list, which you can do on my website, or by downloading that free moon astrology guide, you can do that as well. And yeah, so that was a lot to share. So I want to thank you guys for listening, for being here. And we're going to talk about the freaking full moon in Aries. First of all, what are you guys feeling right now? I want you to intuitively just like tune in and tell me in the chat, what are you guys feeling right now energetically? I know we're all tuned in, tapped in, turned on. Like, if you watch this channel, you are probably most likely an empath. You understand that you're connected. You have a deeper knowing. You understand that there's more to this life than what meets the eye. And you are probably a light worker, starseed, someone that feels like you have a mission on this planet. And if you do, you know what's happening intuitively. So I want you guys to share with me in the chat how you guys are feeling. Thank you, Amy. Thank you. Yeah, Veronica's like, sign me up for the book. I can't wait to have the book myself. And there's only going to be a limited amount of printed copies. And once we run out of those copies, which I think there's maybe 300 copies that we're going to make, we will have an interactive ebook. But if you get a printed copy, you automatically get the interactive ebook experience. So that's going to be really awesome to have, because you'll be able to look at it on your phone. Like, oh yeah, the full moon's coming. Like, let's pull it up, see what it is, see where it's happening in my chart, see what kind of ritual I can do in my life on my own. Like, I mean, this whole thing is just no brainer book. That's what our friend, our marketing friend told us when we had a meeting with her. I love it. Okay, so Tina feels big energy and anticipation. I love that. I'm feeling that too. Valerie says bizarre happenings. Yes. Veronica says overwhelmed but optimistic. Agreed. I have been feeling very overwhelmed but like super optimistic too. Tamika, I'm feeling great right now. Me too. Jessica says feeling anxiety. Feel a tower moment coming, but know it will be followed by something amazing. Yes. I have been full of energy, and then I crash, kind of like my Aries sun. Okay. Colette says meeting up with a few friends on the third waning moon to relieve grief. Okay. Jill says waiting for healing and the karmic completion. Tamika, I have been seeing so many synchronicities. Yes, there's been a lot of that going on. Melissa says, like I've been through a lot, but I'm not afraid and ready for whatever comes next. And Dawn says, I feel trusting, calm, but sort of not knowing where I'm going on or what I am doing. Energetic and grounded, hopeful. Yeah. So it's kind of, isn't that funny how like, even in all of those comments, in all those descriptions that you guys just gave, there's like a high or a really deep low. Like, I was talking to a friend today and we were talking about how this year, like legit, And this is not, I'm just going to be vulnerable and honest with you guys because I share my experiences, and you guys, if you listen to my podcast, I'm kind of like pretty transparent with my experiences. But this year I've legit been feeling really high highs or really low lows. And there was a point where I was literally talking to my husband and I was like, what if I'm bipolar? Like, because that's kind of how I feel, but then talking to my friend today, it was like, she's been feeling it too. And this is not, it's something new. And I realize that that's the energy of this year. We've been like, the universe and the stars and the alignment has been taking us way up. And we have these amazing moments, like these amazing highs where we feel like we're at our best. And then just a few days later, we're like depressed. It's a very bipolar energy. I mean, that's really the only way to describe it, And it's interesting to me that you guys in your descriptions, like some of you guys are feeling amazing and then some of you guys are feeling like just low. And that's a theme. That's a theme that's been going on. It's been gnarly, but it's been going on. And I want you guys to know that this full moon is going to be very intense. Maybe you're feeling it already, but it will be a very deep healing moon. What did I title this video? A wave of the deepest healing you've ever felt. Okay, that's like no joke. A wave of the deepest healing you've ever felt. And what comes from that? Well, we'll have to see. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to actually pull up my notes for the moon and all of the astrology so we can actually start talking about that. So what I like to do is generally talk about the energy of the moon first and then show you the chart and talk about what's actually going on in the chart. Peaks and valleys, yes. Hello, Stephanie. So generally, an Aries moon in general has a lot of passion, has a lot of drive, has a lot of forward movement. It's the Fool card in the major arcana. And what do we know about the Fool card in the major arcana? It stands alone. Every card in the major arcana has a number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 22. But the Fool is 0. It's like numberless. And the reason for that is because the Fool represents us. It's you. The Fool is the one that goes on the journey. Remember that song, The Journey? We go on this journey. It starts with the Fool. And then we start to experience the world. And that Fool card represents a new beginning, a journey that we are very excited to go on, that we are very excited to start walking towards. But sometimes what can happen with that energy of the Fool is it can be so excited that it jumps forward and doesn't realize it's about to jump off the cliff right into a tower moment, right? So that's significant. And that's kind of where we're standing. It's like we're the Fool, kind of standing on the edge and feeling this passion, drive, wanting to move forward, wanting to take action, very kind of aggressive energy because this moon is ruled by the planet Mars. And Mars is all about drive, action, aggression. It is what helps us to act in life. Wherever Mars is in your chart, and whatever sign it's in and whatever house it's in, it tells you how you take action in your life. What drives you forward? And if you have Mars in Aries, you know that when you take action, you just make a decision and you go for it. You don't think twice. This is not an energy of like taking the time to think twice. This is like, okay, let's go. It's an instant where you make a decision and you go. And that's important to understand with this full moon and with what is actually happening astrologically. So the moon in Aries is an initiator of emotions. It's a cardinal sign, which means it initiates things. When it is full, it means that emotions are going to be highly, highly intensified. An Aries moon can sometimes be very impulsive or get angry easy, like short-tempered, but it also likes to have fun and be independent and adventurous. It's also courageous, confident, energetic, and ambitious. I don't know why I'm counting with my fingers. When the moon is in Aries, we feel a need to be independent and we feel a need to be free. Independence and freedom. There's also the very intense masculine energy because it's Mars, and Mars rules the masculine. So what we're going to see with this moon is, it's kind of, remember, you are the one standing at the edge of that cliff or at the beginning of the journey. And whatever healing you've been doing already with Mars, I love that, 33 in the chat, is the theme that is going to come back up right now with this moon. And say, okay, here we go. One more deep dive. One more thing. Because Mars is going to be in a stellium with the moon in Aries. So what we're going to see, I don't know, we might see people with hot tempers, people losing their tempers. Wink, wink. Intense emotions, and people doing things because, you know, their ego wants to, not because it is like the right thing to do. So we're going to see people driven by ego, but then you're also going to see people driven by a desire to spiritually rise to the highest levels of healing and actually align with their higher self. Remember, a high or a low. That's what's going on. So the crazy thing that is happening, and the reason why I'm talking about this healing journey, is because the moon will be conjunct Chiron. And Chiron is the wounded healer. So that makes things very interesting. Because this moon is happening in Aries, it is a new beginning. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. It is a new path, a new journey. There is, in essence, a new opportunity and a huge shift into moving into the future. It's about stepping into an entire new, deep healing journey where we can move forward into embodying our higher self. And this can feel definitely like a rebirth. And you can see that because in the Sabian symbol, it shows this sort of like, I am in this kind of positive place right now. You're either in a really positive place, really motivated right now, or you're either getting trampled. Like this or this. That's the only options, right? So this moon begins, this month begins with this full moon and then ends with the full moon in Taurus and Samhain, of all things, which is the beginning of the Celtic wheel. So let's talk about the conjunction with Chiron. So Chiron is, the wounded healer. And when the moon and Chiron come together, this makes it very difficult because our emotions are intensified, seriously intensified. And it's hard for us to get them under control. It's extreme sensitivity too. It's the kind of awareness that causes some of us to have trouble with like day-to-day things. Like simple shit becomes impossible to bear. Simple conversations become impossible to have. Who was I talking about this? I think it was K Moon. Like we have been feeling this whole year like that there's this kind of so much intensity, so much sensitivity that we feel like we can't handle just regular things, communications, relationships, like all that stuff. So that extreme sensitivity can get to a point where we're like, okay, we got to shut the door to everything because we just can't handle it right now. Major self-care becomes something that you have to actually do, because if you don't, like, you'll literally die. Like, you won't be able to function, not die, but like, you won't be able to function like a normal person in the world, because you're not a normal person. You're special. You're a special being, and that needs to be taken care of, right? This kind of awareness causes, us to feel like sometimes we just have to close the window, close the blinds, retreat, become that hermit. And it also creates sort of, because Aries is a sign of needing independence, this actually creates a fear of restriction. Hey, girl. Lioness of peace. The key to deal with this intensity is actually to master Saturn energy. Because if we master this Saturn energy, what is Saturn? Saturn is responsibility, dealing with what comes up. Here I go again, counting. Making a plan for ourselves and following the rules, then we can get through this transit more easily. There are rules to healing. Like, there is a natural flow to healing. If you go through it and you allow yourself to flow through it and move with the energy, it'll be easier to deal with it, as opposed to if you resist it. Right? Exactly. Boo Barth says people are reacting to their triggers in negative ways. Yes, they are. So this full moon in conjunction to Chiron is this is the question that it's posing. Are we aligned with a higher divine essence or not? Are we completely in our ego space or not? That's what you got to ask yourself. And when I looked at if there was any fixed stars connected with this moon, what was the Chandra symbol, what was the Sabian symbol, I was blown away. I couldn't believe it. I want to read to you from the book. So this moon is at 9 degrees of Aries. And it is aligned with a fixed star called Algenib or whatever. I can't pronounce. I'm probably butchering that name, but that's okay. Because what is this star? It's basically, there's a constellation in the sky that is Pegasus. Pegasus is a winged horse. And he has a sacred divine symbol to him and a story which we're going to read about. But this star, Algenib, is on Pegasus' wing tip. It's at the tip of the wing. Now, this star is also a very Mars and Mercurial energy, and Pegasus is the flying horse. So what does this flying horse and the mythological story of Pegasus have to do with this full moon? Let's find out. I'm going to read you straight up from the book. It's called Fixed Stars in the Chart, Constellations, Lunar Mansions, and Mythology by Oscar Hoffman, in case you're interested in getting the book to study the fixed stars. So, the winged horse Pegasus arises from the blood of Medusa. Do you guys know the story of Medusa? Medusa is, in mythology, she was raped by Zeus, which is Jupiter, in Hera's temple, in a sacred temple. And then she was blamed for it. Hera blamed her for it and basically cursed her. Medusa is connected to the fixed star called Algol. And Algol is the most malefic star of all the fixed stars. Of course, I have an alignment to that star. Of course I do. But so I actually love it because she's actually the queen of darkness. So Scorpio. But she is the blood. Pegasus arises from the blood of Medusa. What is that? That is like the ultimate core wound. Because Medusa was raped, and instead of being like saved or validated or helped in the healing of that, she was blamed for it. So that's like major like guilt trip, like make you feel like it's all your fault. That's major wounding. So he arises from this major wound. And Medusa symbolizes the sacrificed desire nature. Horses are symbols of strong instinctive forces, but this horse has wings. So it is rising up to Olympus, which is like heaven. Olympus is like heaven. It's like where the gods live, the spiritual world of the gods. The powerful energy of desire is directed towards the heavens by the wings of wisdom. Remember, we're on this journey. This moon is exactly aligned with the star. It is the hero, and this goes into more of the mythology, Bellerophon, who tames Pegasus and flies on his back above his enemies. From this lofty position, he defeats his opponents, one among whom is the Chimera, a hideous mixture of a lion, goat, and a snake. Again, the children of Typhoon and Echidna of death and earth. The arrows shot by Bellerophon at the Chimera do not manage to kill it. So he throws a chunk of lead into the monster's fire-breathing mouth, which then melts it and kills it. Not for nothing it is lead, as this is the metal of Saturn. Lead is the metal of Saturn, the planet of sacrifice, wisdom, and discipline. What did I just say about Chiron? The key to deal with this intensity is to actually master Saturn energy. Because if we master this energy of Saturn responsibility, dealing with comes up, making a plan for ourselves, and following the rules, we will get through this transit more easily. The warning is in the second part of the story, because Bellerophon, inspired by his success, decides to make his way to the Lord of the Gods on his own initiative. Zeus is not amused by such arrogance and sends a horsefly, which stings Pegasus, and Bellerophon is thrown off and falls to earth. The rise and the fall, the highs, and the lows. Can you see, like, my mind, like, when I was reading this, I was like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Like, is this for real? It's for real. Blind and alone, Bellerophon roams the face of the earth for the rest of his life without any orientation or goal. Like, what? He just wanders without knowing where he's going or having any goals. That's the low of Aries. That's the worst part. From Pegasus' hoof, now he's talking about the constellation. From Pegasus' hoof flow the streams from which the muses drink. So this is the source of all arts and sciences, based as they are on foresight and trust in human powers alone. Bellerophon is quite appropriately a son of Sisyphus, who deemed himself smart and ingenious, but is punished in Hades, where he endlessly pushes a rock up a hill only to see it come rolling back down as soon as he almost reaches the top. Bellerophon is the heir to the curse of his father. And who's the father of astrology? The father in the chart? Who's the father in the chart? You guys tell me. All my astrology students. Who's the father energy? Who represents the father? Bellerophon is the heir to this curse of his father. Another association with the same theme at its core is with Prometheus. And it's actually Saturn. Saturn is the father. Saturn represents the father in our chart. So, another association with this theme, this is what threw me off completely. Let me take that back. It didn't throw me off. This is what blew my mind when I was reading about it, because the story is now moving into the realm of Chiron, and you'll see what I mean. Bellerophon, or another association, is the theme core in Prometheus, okay? Prometheus is a Greek word that represents foresight. And Prometheus was actually a being, okay? The Titan Earth giant who stole fire from the gods and was chained by Zeus in the Caucasus for this crime. Every day, yes, he did, Boobarth. Every day, that's Kronos. Every day, Zeus sends an eagle to peck out his liver, symbolizing the pain which foresight brings. The liver is the Jupiter organ and represents foresight and oversight, necessarily creating the urge to act and trust your human ingenuity. And every day, the liver would grow back, and the eagle would come back and peck at it. Damn. It is the centaur, Chiron, who frees Prometheus by giving up his immortality and taking his place, indicating the similarity of the corresponding myths. Sagittarius, which equals Chiron, also has association with shooting arrows, having plans, shooting arrows into the future, having foresight. Chiron's pain is the tension between knowledge and desire, and the impossibility of solving this tension by his own smartness. On every level, esoteric or concrete, the central theme of Chiron's story is the same as those similarly connected with Bellerophon, Prometheus, and Sisyphus. It does not mean that arts and sciences are meaningless, but it does point to their essential limitations and dangers. We only need to think of the dangers lurking in modern science to see the important truths in these myths. Sheath, Markab, and Aldenib are the stars in Pegasus, the fixed stars in Pegasus, which represent this story, and as expected, they have quite malefic effects. Markab, on the wing of Pegasus, is the most positive, while Sheath is the contrary, placed on the left leg, much closer to the earthly mud, and is clearly more malefic. All three stars give the opportunity to rise above material reality and desires, but it will go wrong if human limitations are not humbly observed and accepted. That is Saturn energy. There's responsibilities. There's rules to the game. You have to do it the right way or it's not going to work. So the theme of these fixed stars is to avoid overestimation of your own powers, whether they're spiritual or scientific, is to be humble, to observe your human limitations, to accept guidance, to not trust in your ingenuity and techniques alone. So what does that all point to? It points to becoming humble, to surrendering to the humbleness of life, of being human, to surrender to the humanity of it all. Yes, it's the ego healing, which is all about Chiron. And right now, as we're going to see, well, tomorrow, it is about that conjunction between who's going to be in Aries. The moon, Chiron, and Mars, and Black Moon Lilith. They're going to be in a stellium in the sky. So I was blown away by that. Now, here's the Chandra symbols. This book called Inside Degrees. I mean, this stuff blows my mind. The Chandra symbol for 9 degrees of Aries is this: roots of a tree entwined around the statue of a nude woman. Bondage and freedom sometimes go hand in hand. The bondage is being true to pattern, predictable, caught in habits and tendencies perpetually left to grow like weeds. The freedom is that as you meet yourself starkly in the midst of these old, tired patterns of behavior, you come into touch with a quickening flame of self-recreation, stimulated and forced by being at the mercy of the relentless patterns. Whoa. This impulse to make yourself over is fervently strong, courageous, ready, and willing. The old stuff dies hard. You are therefore engaged in a pitched battle of a protracted kind between retrogressive and progressive ideals, impulses, and desires. Both sides are so impassioned and sharply intense that this becomes a knockdown, drag-out battle of wills. What? The atavistic backward-leaning feels immune to change. The visionary forward-thrusting will feels moved by evolutionary forces, never to give up. Nope, that's Aries. Eventually, the future prevails over the past, but not before scars and multiple traumas mark the spot of fighting for your life against an implacable inward enemy who knows it will lose, but fights all the harder accordingly. Like, if that doesn't paint a picture of what dealing with your own demons and your own traumas and your own karmic patterns and your own addictions, then I don't know what does. I mean, this, like, the resistance that we have to healing, to letting go, to surrendering, this paints the perfect picture. But it also says that the future does prevail. Right? The healing eventually does arrive, but we have to be willing to surrender ourselves to the process and know and understand that there's a way to do it. There's a way that this works. And that is what this full moon is trying to teach us. I'm going to show you the chart now, so let me let's take a moment here and switch over screens. How are you guys doing so far? Good? Yes, self-deception is overcome. I love that. So give me 1 second. I'm going to just make sure this is ready. I actually have to stand up. I know all this stuff is seriously blowing my mind. This is what this moon is bringing you guys. Like deep, intense, healing. We can't get away from it. You're not supposed to get away from it. You're supposed to heal. And if you're resisting it, that's when things get crazy. So the full moon is over here. So we've got moon at 9 degrees, Chiron at 7 degrees, Mars at 24, Black Moon Lilith at 26, and then opposite that, we've got the Sun at 9 degrees of Libra, which is also in its fall position. So the Sun does not feel good in Libra. It just doesn't. So this Aries stellium is really significant because having the moon, the full moon conjunct Chiron, while it's in a stellium with Mars, who it's in is home sign of Aries, but also retrograde. That's heavy, you guys. That's like, whoa, almost too intense to bear, almost unbearable. So this moon is going to actually bring up a lot of the issues that you have been experiencing with Mars. So Mars has been, he has a 6-month transit in Aries. That's a long time. This is going on in a specific house in your chart. I did an episode actually. It was, what are you healing? What's your healing theme in 2020? Or what are you healing in 2020 in the podcast, Channel for Grace Uncut podcast? And I talked about, based off of your sun, moon, and rising, like what this healing journey is. And that's where you can go and find out where is Mars at, because that's the healing journey that this full moon is activating or bringing up. So ask yourself too, what has been going on in regards to this following house, to this theme? And to check in on what has been unfolding for you with this Mars transit so far. Mars is also going to be making a sextile and a trine to the nodes. And that's actually a positive aspect that activates a destiny path. It says Mars is paying attention to where it wants to go, how it's healing, and it's paying attention to the fact that like you can't keep moving towards the past, you have to move towards the future. That surrender theme comes up again. What the other aspect that's happening during this moon is that we have Mercury, who is actually conjunct Juno. So the two asteroids, the asteroid of marriage and the asteroid of like freedom and independence, are actually having a strong presence in this moon. So if you're in like a soulmate relationship, twin flame relationship, like it's going to be significant in your life. And I would recommend that you actually go watch, if you are on one of those journeys, that you go watch K Moon's channel, because she does this twin flame astrology for the full and the new moons. So she'll explain a little bit better how this is affecting twin flame relationships. But either way, I mean, just to mention that those two asteroids are being affected. Now, Mercury is actually opposing Uranus during this full moon. And remember that Mercury is actually in shadow. Mercury's getting ready to go retrograde, you guys. He's going to go retrograde on, I'm going to give you the exact date, the 13th of October. Mercury goes retrograde, and he's going to be retrograde until November 3rd. So we're going to have Mercury retrograde, Mars retrograde in Scorpio of all signs. If you wanna know more about what that means, go take the module 4 for Aquarian Astrology, all about Mercury. But basically, Mercury in Scorpio is like a detective. He wants to dive deep into the unknown for the answers. He's not afraid to go into the underworld, right? And opposing Uranus in Taurus, Uranus just activates, like it electrifies the mind. It electrifies the thoughts and the ideas. Our minds may feel like they're racing, like so many thoughts coming through. And that kind of energy can also create anxiety. The other thing that's happening is there's an exact quincunx to Uranus from the sun. And so the sun represents the soul. So at a deep soul level, we're desiring freedom and independence, which is Uranus. And because this is a quincunx, this means that we're moving into a new situation, which brings about change. And it forces us to release and let go of something that is not serving us anymore. It's like time is stopping for a moment, and Uranus is walking on stage saying, I have something to present, and all the characters of the play now have to deal with it, whether they are ready for it or not. So something is going to land, in your lap, or it's a theme that you've already been working on, but this will bring it to the surface. And you have to deal with it whether you are ready for it or not. Neptune is also T-squaring the nodes. Here's Neptune, there's the nodes, and there's the T-square. And this is an intense aspect, because Neptune, any kind of a square energy, does that same thing. It brings up tension and obstacles, and it makes it difficult. Like, the tension has to be dealt with. There's no way out. And this is like, are you on your sacred path? Neptune represents our spiritual, journey, a higher awareness, higher consciousness, squaring the nodes of destiny and karma, bringing up stuff from the past, or even past lives, and forcing you to deal with it, to face it. There is a positive aspect happening here. It's not exact yet, but Neptune is sextiling Jupiter. That's positive. That's a good thing. That's a harmonious thing. These two planets, when they come together, they bring in like a loving, compassionate energy, and Jupiter magnifies that energy. So that's a positive thing that's happening. Thank God. The other thing that we're going to see is this intense grand trine of fire between Venus, Mars, and the South Node. Grand trines are like my favorite alignment. Venus is at the last degrees of Leo. Mars is at 24 degrees of Aries. And the South Node is at 22. So it's not exact, but it's a grand trine of fire, which means that this activates our passion. And I think this is a really good thing, because with all of this intense activation of our healing path and our healing journey, and the theme that we've been working on and healing all year long, we need to have the passion to get through, right? We need to have the passion to move forward. And of course, we still feel that heavy Mars square Saturn during this full moon. I mean, that transit, it's long. It lasts a long time. It was exact yesterday, and then now it's moving away from being exact. But it's going to happen again. I think in the beginning of the year 2021. It's going to happen one more time when Mars is in Taurus, I believe. And this is heavy, and Saturn is direct. And so this is like, okay, whatever healing journey you're on, you're going to feel the pressure. We're all feeling the pressure. How you deal with that is how you activate your willpower to move forward from this place. And that is what this moon is bringing up. And that's a lot for a full moon to bring up. That's a lot. That's like almost like the words I've been using. It's almost unbearable, you guys. So if you're dealing with this unbearable energy, first of all, you need to take care of yourself. You need to not try to force anything. I'm going to switch back to me. You need to not try to force anything. You need to give yourself all the time that you need. You need to understand the process. I would highly recommend, since if you guys haven't heard, if you're just coming in for the first time or you missed the beginning, I am giving 50% off my basic birth chart readings for the whole month of October. So one thing that could help is to understand what's going on astrologically for you, or at least understand your birth chart. And if you want to know what's happening, how all these things are affecting you, that would be the transit reading if you wanted to do that. But if you've never had someone look at your chart, this is a really good opportunity to do that, which will help you understand a little bit more kind of where you stand in the middle of all of this stuff. And at least you know who you are and what your blueprint is to move forward with whatever is coming up for you. So that was a lot. I know I just covered a lot, and I know I talked a lot, but I'm really thankful that you guys are here watching this this video, and thank you for all your support on the channel as well. Let's see what some of the comments are. I kind of stopped watching because I was focusing on what I was saying. So people are saying that they're feeling the energies. Someone says, I'm signing up for my chart. I've been guided to it now for a long time, and it's you I've been felt to. Oh, awesome. I love that. I would love to read your chart, Living Multiverse. Boo Barth says she's feeling it through the roof. Sparky feels completion. I love that. That's good too. I personally feel really good right now. This is my own personal experience. I feel good because I know where I am. I know my journey. I know where I want to go. I actually feel a very strong motivation. This moon in Aries, this whole thing is for me happening in my 10th house of career. And there's so many things like that are expanding. I feel a lot of expansive energy. Yes, there's healing, but I've had to really move through the mud to get through the fears, to feel comfortable, and to finally be in a place where I'm like, I got this. So that might be a similar theme. Maybe you're feeling really amazing, you know, not necessarily bad or heavy. But if you're going through some heavy thing, like just don't be so hard on yourself. Like, this is what's happening. So you're either going to be on a really high right now with this moon, remember, or you're going to be at a really low. If you're in a really low, take care of yourself. Give yourself the time that you need. Oh, Valerie, that's right. Am I going to go through the signs? Do you guys want me to go through the signs? Say yes if you want me to go through where this is happening in your chart. I love my Virgos. There is a lot going on right now. Tanya says yes. Lisa says yes. Yes. Okay. I know it's already been going on for a while now, and I don't want to keep you guys unnecessarily. Okay, yes. Okay. Let's do it. So, for this full moon, who's Aries, sun, moon, and rising? Just say me or put Aries in the chat. Valerie knows what I'm talking about. That's why I count on my Virgos, mate. That's why I count on them. Everybody has a specific purpose and a very special gift. Let's just keep it at that. So if you're Aries, sun, moon, and rising, this moon is happening in your first house of the self. Like, blast, spiritual journey in your face. This is all about you, your self-identity, how you feel about yourself, your body, how you project yourself out to the world. And this is massive, like me in the world energy. This is about you. This is major you. Focus on you. If you are a Taurus, sun, moon, and rising, this is happening in your 12th house. And this is the house of the divine. This is the house of Neptune. This is the house ruled by Pisces. This is the stuff that's hidden. So it's going to be a little heavy for Taurus, because that means that stuff that maybe you weren't ready to see is going to like come up to the surface, and it might surprise you, because until now it's been in hiding. And we don't like surprises when it comes to healing. You know what I'm saying? Like, we just don't. Like, no, nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. But it's going to be heavy because it'll be something that comes up that maybe you weren't prepared for, you weren't ready for, but you are ready for it, because it has to come up and you have to deal with it. And that means that you're ready. We're all ready. Otherwise, this wouldn't be happening. We can resist it, but that's a whole nother story. So with Taurus and the 12th house, this is also, gaining, you're connecting, the moon and the psychic powers of the 12th house are very strong. Like straight up psychic power. So you might be receiving a lot of downloads and messages too. If you're a Gemini, sun, moon, and rising, this is happening in your 11th house. And that's the house of friends, networks, sharing your gifts with the world, like kind of putting yourself out there. For Gemini, this sort of healing aspect is going to challenge you to ask yourself, in terms of like putting yourself out there in the world, are you doing it in a way that is aligned with that higher self, that divine purpose, that destiny path? Is it aligned with that? Those are the kind of things that are going to come up for you. Are you in a high or are you in a low? And if you're not doing what you're meant to do, you might feel kind of in a low, Yeah, right, Julene? So if you're Cancer, sun, moon, and rising, this is happening in your 10th house of career. So are you in a high or are you in a low? This is career. How something is coming up in terms of career for you. That's a big deal. And you might feel a lot of motivation. So exactly in my own chart, the way my degrees are, the moon is actually in my 10th house. I'm a Gemini rising, but the moon is actually in my 10th house because of the alignment of the degrees. But nevertheless, career theme for me is like what I'm experiencing right now with Mars. And remember, Mars and the moon and Chiron, all of this stuff, and Black Moon Lilith, although she's about to move into Taurus, they're all in the same house. Like this stellium is all in the same house. Like that's heavy. So in terms of your career, are you happy where you're at? Do you need to go on a new journey? What new journey is coming up for you? What are you healing? Those are the things that are coming up for you, Cancer. Leo, sun, moon, and rising. This is happening in your 9th house. And this is the house of spiritual integration. You're integrating your spirituality. You're learning about faith. You're learning about, expressing yourself, but also doing it in a way where you're actually learning new things to express. You're searching for knowledge, you're going to receive a lot of knowledge, and it's going to come to you by the way of this healing that's happening right now. It's like you're being like doused in this like healing, like goo. It's like healing. I just feel like, okay, I'm being doused right now. That's what I feel. So like you're like the healing will, it's a good douse. It's like a good, like it's a clearing. It's like, whew, it'll wash over you, and you will move forward with more integrity and feeling more centered and like more being in your faith and knowing what you believe in. For Virgo, sun, moon, and rising, this is happening in your 8th house. So this is an intense house because this is the house of death, change, transformation, and rebirth. Like just the nature of those things are gnarly. Death is gnarly. Transformation is gnarly. Right? Birth, not exactly like the happiest kind of like event. It's painful. It's scary. It can be scary. It's like bloody. I mean, like, come on. Yes, it's happy because of what comes from it. But the feeling that the event is like, sometimes it can be traumatic. And then there's the rebirth, which is almost similar to a birth, but it's more of like in a symbolic way. So none of those things necessarily feel good while they're happening. However, what you need to focus on is what's on the other side of that. Because what happens when you give birth? Life is born. What happens when you die? you learn the whole thing. Like the whole thing is revealed, right? All the answers you were looking for. You free yourself of the physical body. What happens when you transform? You become new. A new version of you emerges, and that feels amazing. What happens when you go through a rebirth? Same thing. So don't focus on the process. Remember, the future is important, and the future always wins. Remember the Chandra symbol? The Chandra symbol is like the future will always win over the resistance to heal. That's what you got to focus on. Libra, Sun, Moon, and Rising. This is happening in your 7th house of relationships. So this is a lot for Libra, because Libras already are focused on relationships. Like every time we watch Libra readings or whatever, there's always this relationship thing, this theme of relationships with Libra, and it's because they're ruled by Venus. So Venus ruled signs like Libra and Taurus. With specifically Libra, Sun, Moon, and Rising, this is the 7th house. So this is relationships. Deep, soulful, intense healing of your relationships. That's the theme. That's the focus. Like you don't get to escape that. You don't get to skip over it. If you're doing the work, great. If you're resisting it, not going to work. And I know that's kind of tough to hear, but that's what is happening. If you're a Scorpio, Sun, Moon, and Rising, this is happening in your 6th house, which is the house of work. It's the house of also the body in terms of your health. It's the house of the everyday schedules that you set for yourself, the things that you do. It's the small stuff, right? It's the details. And that's what's transforming. That's what's changing. That, you might be drawn to completely change the way that your environment looks or feels, or the way that you do your daily life. Like if you have a certain schedule, maybe that's not working anymore. Maybe the way that life is right now is just not, it's no. I want to change it. I want something different. Like this is not working for me anymore. So then that's when you focus on the future and you go, okay, what can I focus on? What do I want? My direct, immediate life, everyday life to look like. And that's what you focus on, and that's where the healing is going to happen. If you're a Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising, this is the 5th house. So this is all of your ability to create, your passion, your fixed fire energy, your like the sustaining life force of the universe, which is ruled by the sun. Your romance, your romantic relationships. This is what this is affecting. So you could feel amazing. You could feel like you're starting a new journey in terms of romance. You could feel like something is ending and there's a new desire to be creative, to manifest things into your life that is awakening, that is coming alive, that feels really good. Or you could be feeling like you're at your worst and something needs to change in order to feel at your best. So creativity wise, are you being creative? Because in this 5th house, like there's no other way around. You got to create. Ask yourself, what are you creating in your life? Literally, what are you creating? And that's your answer. If you're like, nothing. Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising. This is your 4th house of the home. And it's kind of challenging to talk about this house because I feel like Capricorns are so focused on ambition. This is not bad. They're focused on their ambition to succeed. They're focused on career. They're focused on they have a goal. there's a goal that Capricorn has that they're like going towards it. This is a very Saturn ruled energy, and it rules the 10th house, which is opposing the 4th. So this is a major like opposition between what you normally would prefer to focus on, which like I want to be the breadwinner, or I want to be the one, I just want to focus on career, or I just want to focus on like my ambitions. I don't want to think about home. Like I don't want to like be home. You know, it's like a difficult thing to sort of look at and like talk about, I think, for Capricorn, because they just kind of, there's like an expectation that home is taken care of. And I don't have to worry about that because I got other stuff to focus on, other stuff that's important. So how do you put yourself in a position or in a situation, or how do you, how can you be more present at home? And you got to ask yourself, are you being present or are you not being present? And what does that mean? But you have to find more presence. You have to, all of this, Mars, the moon, Chiron, black moon, Lilith, is all in your 4th house. So what's going on at home? What needs to change? What's not working? What is obviously not working? And how can you change it? And how can you fix it? Heal it. Not fix it, but heal it. What motivates you the most? What do you want in terms of home? And those are the themes. I mean, this moon is heavy. The home is a heavy part. Like at home, I got to deal with this at home. I mean, Aries has to deal with it in themselves, right? 1st house, like an internal thing. You, it's like it involves other things and other people and relationships, just like Libra in the 7th house. Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising, this is happening in your 3rd house of communication. So what this is like all this energy. Normally, your 3rd house is like you're kind of like your spark, conversations, ability to communicate very clearly. This is the fixed air sign. Mind is made up. You know how to explain yourself. You know how to describe what you want. It's clear and it's fixed. But also because there's a theme of healing within all of it, what this means is like, is there something that you're not seeing in the way that you communicate that other people may be looking at you and being like, that's so self-centered, or that's so egotistical, or that's so like not humble? Is there anything like that you feel that you could possibly be projecting out into the world, like you, that actually blocks off communication instead of welcomes it? And that's hard because Aquarius is loves to hear what everybody else thinks, and they do it because they honestly feel that everyone's opinion matters. But it's difficult. They don't change their mind. You can't change an Aquarius's mind. Like, they will change their own mind and they will decide on their own when to change their mind. But is there something, like, what are you not saying? What are you saying too much of? Like, are you being too aggressive? You got to look at all those things. And if there's something that, like, okay, maybe I can do a little better in that area. Maybe I can, like, chill a little bit. Maybe I can relax more. Maybe I can go back to the more humble, open-minded self of Aquarius and not so much in, like, I'm going to push and push and push until what I want everybody to know, like, gets through to everybody, you know? Because that's Aries. Like, I don't care. I'm just going to, like, say what I want, when I want it, however, you know, and like that can be like not well received. So that's Aquarius. What's going on with Aquarius is like all about communication. So how is communication, the theme of communication in your life manifesting? And then Pisces, sun, moon, and rising. This is your 2nd house of finances. So the 2nd house is ruled by Venus. It also rules like, what are your values? What are in terms of money, bringing money into your life, like you're very impulsive about the things that have to do with these like money matters in generally. But with all of this energy going on in your second house, that means that you could be impulsively spending. That's possible. Or you could be doing things that affect the way that, money comes in, and maybe you're not making the best decisions right now in terms of that. Maybe you are experiencing a very deep, strong desire, like a sensual, desire for like pleasure in your life, but somehow like some kind of healing thing needs to happen. You need to heal something, deep within yourself before you can actually like understand how to really truly embody the goddess, right? Because the second house is the goddess. The second house is the empress. The second house is about security. What can be happening right now, because the Aries energy is so strong and can be very unsure of itself, is that you might actually feel just super insecure right now. You might just not just be insecure. And how do you find that security again in your life? Well, whatever this moon is bringing up, whatever Mars is bringing up, that is your answer. That's what you got to deal with. It's the one thing that you are resisting. And this is for everybody. The one thing that we're resisting is the one thing that this moon is asking us to heal. Because this is an initiation. This is a journey that's beginning, and we're off to the races. Aries, we're going to win. We're going to win, okay? But it's a long journey that has been going on, and it's just continuing on, and it just keeps like it's like you're walking through the underworld. I just had this crazy image. You're walking through the underworld, and then like these fires like shooting up, like when you're like, whoa, and you're like, okay, gotta go that way, gotta go this way, and then like another like fire comes up, and you're like having to like maneuver around these like crazy things, but you're doing it, and you got to be smart, and you got to pay attention. Don't get caught off guard. That's mastering Saturn. Do not get caught off guard. And that's how we're going to get through this energy. All right, I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for being here in the chat. Please check out all the links in the description. I have a lot of cool stuff happening this month. We do have that 50% off sale for the month of October if you want to get a basic chart reading. All of that is on my website, channelforgrace.guru. I love you guys. Thank you for your support on the channel. I hope to see you tomorrow at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern for the full moon in Aries ceremony. And if you've never been in a ceremony with us, it's really fun. We have a good time. We also gather in sacred space and honor the cycles of the sun and the moon. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'll see you guys tomorrow.